So Rob, if I can turn to you for the first question, can you just describe to us what it's like to lead in a fast-growing international consulting business like ours?
It's really interesting. It's really fast-paced. We have to be very agile in the way that we deal with our clients because things are constantly changing. And as an organization, we've always prided ourselves on being able to deal with most of the questions and the challenges that our clients have. And that in itself brings its own challenges because we need to understand kind of ahead of time what their demand is and try and make sure we've got the right people to do that. And not only that, the people that you think you have that are fully committed to a particular client, you've got to be ready for the next wave and the next tranche of people that you need to get on with. So yeah, I think we've done really well at that, and hopefully we'll continue to grow at the same pace.
Sure, understood. And Manoj, from an India perspective, do you find a similar experience, or do you experience kind of different aspects of leading in our business?
In fact, growth is the key word in India, right? Apart from the fact that we have been growing as an organization quite rapidly, the market itself has been growing extremely fast. So it's not just an absolute growth of our firm, but it's also keeping pace with the rest of the market. And I think it's been great to lead a firm in this kind of environment because we can do a balance of, and we are quite new in India. We are 4 years old, whereas our entire firm is like decades old. So it's been great because you get a startup kind of feel, as well as you have the stability of the global large platform.
And that's interesting. You talk about that balance between the sort of local or national presentation or representation that we have, be it in Canada, be it in the US, be it in India, and being part of still an international organisation. So how do you feel that we keep that balance between an international, consistently operating organisation while still representing the local needs of the Indian client base?
I think that puts us on an extremely strong wicket, so to say, because our competitors and peer group, even those which have an international presence, are totally localized. And even if we talk about the Big Four, for instance. However, we are able to plug in so seamlessly and so easily into all our global platforms. And you can see that, right? We are all sitting here together. That it's extremely productive. We can migrate best practices from all over the world into a new market, so to say. And it's extremely fulfilling for the employees as well, because they can clearly see that they are part of a global setup and they have prospects of seamlessly moving around and working and looking at work elsewhere as well.
And certainly from my own perspective, for the part of the business that I look after, the learning and development, where we transcend kind of international boundaries and we're able to serve a client for an international program and take their global community and bring consistency together. And at the same time, we can bring in our own expertise from different territories. So the client sees kind of local representation, but they're servicing a global need and bringing people from global community back together. And Rob, in Canada and North America, how do you see that working out, that balancing?
For us, I mean, the time zone challenge is the north-south time zone challenge actually plays to our advantage. And 2 years ago, everything was country-bound, city-bound, office-bound. And with the advent of the challenges over the last 2 years, we've been able to grow our footprint substantially, and that is by using a combination of resources from all of our locations, but for delivery remotely to a client who might sit in the southern US. And again, we bring things to those clients which many of our competitors can't do, as well as bringing a higher uplifted skill set that many of our competitors can't bring.
Yeah, and Manoj, you made an interesting comment about how fulfilling that is for people who work in our business. So just say a little bit more about what really distinguishes us as a business in terms of being a compelling place to build a career as a consultant.
Well, you asked a question which is, I always look at and see how to improve our offering to our employees who are our key stakeholders, right? And I can tell you one thing, I'm probably the oldest guy in the India setup. And we are a team of youngsters, just like India is a country of young people. And it's very important for employees whom we bring in to be engaged as partners rather than mere employees. I think we are successful in providing that. And so I like to say that, it's not just a job that Sionic offers. it offers careers, and I may go one step ahead and say we offer a life, for employees to actually come here and make a career and a life at Sione.
And if I could add to that, I mean, from an accessibility perspective, we like all organizations, have a hierarchy, but we operate in a very flat manner. So we can have people engaging very, very senior leaders within the organization without having to go through like a hierarchy to get there. And I think that gives them the access which in many other organizations you wouldn't expect to get.
Yeah, and I think that's hugely important, because what goes with that access is years and years and years of expertise and experience that is immediately available to any consultant in this organization. And that notion of access, I think, crosses over into clients too. Given the nature of the work that we do and the seniority of the clients that we often deal with, there's the opportunity for consultants in our business to work with senior clients, which perhaps in other organizations you might not get that, because that relationship is mapped back to a senior person. So that ability to work with senior folks on the client side as well as with senior folks in our own organization is a very powerful opportunity. And in terms of the people, Rob, that you look to hire, what is it that you look for in terms of characteristics and style and mindset so that they can have a successful career?
People that are acquisitive or inquisitive, and people that are flexible and adaptable. So it's all good and well hiring someone who's very good at a very small thing, but we need to have people that have got some horizontal stretch and some depth, so that we can move them from a bank one day or on one program to an insurance company on the next program, and they're able to make that leap both in terms of their ability and their mindset.
Yeah. So some adaptability and some agility in there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Manoj, from an India perspective, what kind of folks are you looking for?
I think he said it very well. I think adaptability is important. See, India is in the recent past, of course, and as always, to a certain extent, produced very high quality talent. It's not difficult to find good quality talent. What is difficult is to interest them, engage them, and retain them. And in order to do that, it's important that the guy you hire or the girl you hire is the right fit for the work you're going to give them. So it's quite often it's not merely the work and the delivery that the employee or your partner is going to offer to the client. It's also what you can offer to the employee in other aspects of life. And this includes building up a strong organization where they feel they belong and are part of, like we've talked about it earlier, global setup, etc. Prospects for career advancement, prospects to engage in a very professional environment with equally enthusiastic, equally talented people. I think that's what we try to provide to our employees.
And certainly the word enthusiastic, I know just from my own perspective, I really look for a couple of things. One of which is curiosity. I want people, no matter what the role or what their background or what level they're coming in at, to be curious, to ask and to try and inquire, and how does this work? How might that look? What could that be? How might that work? What opportunity exists over in Canada, in New York, in Mumbai? So that willingness to be curious and to explore, but also to contribute. People who are willing to offer something, to bring something. Don't be shy about suggesting a new idea, a new solution, different piece of technology, different way of thinking. So people that contribute as well, I think, are very valuable.
If I may add just one more point, I think all of us will agree that sometimes if you become too large, there are firms in India who are 30,000 people, 40,000 people strength. Then to give what we offer as a firm becomes more difficult. So we've tried ourselves to not make it a numbers game, that try and become 20,000 people in 5 years, etc. We want to work with the best clients. We want to do quality work with them and not just be another service provider. And I think that is one other thing which our employees will look for, which will give them a sense of belonging and a sense that they are growing with the organization and seeing it grow in the right way.
And how might you summarize that as your ambition? What is your ambition, your aspiration for our business?
So, I think it's natural to say that, we have significant revenue ambitions or, significant gross margin ambitions or whatever. But I would say that comes if you do other things right. And the other things that we need to do right is we need to be very clear that we want to build an organization which is here for the long run. It is something which we are building with pain, at great pains today, but we want to see that it sustains for 30, 40 years. And we will become a very well-known name in India, more specifically where it is new. And I think that's really my ambition, to make it a place where people will enjoy working, people will feel part of the growth story, and a part of an environment which is apolitical, which is flat in structure, like Rob was mentioning, and where there is access to the junior most, youngest, newest employee to the highest possible leadership in the organization.
Yeah, and I think that enjoyment and that contribution, if we get that right, that will create the sustainability over a period of time. And Rob, from your perspective, how would you summarise your ambition?
I think you alluded to this. As you get bigger, there's certain things which become much more difficult to manage, and your identity becomes one of them. Because it's very easy to say we'll do anything, anywhere, for anybody, but we need to make sure we focus on what's niche and what's important to us, for all the reasons you've mentioned. Making sure that our staff are getting the satisfaction out of the work that they do, making sure we deliver quality to the clients where we know we've got the capability to do so, and at the same time making sure that people actually have fun. You've got to want to come to work, you've got to enjoy what you do, and you've got to go home with a smile on your face and say, I really enjoyed what I did at work today.
Yeah, I would entirely agree. And I think for me, I would summarise it as, if we can create a winning experience for people who work with us in terms of our consulting population, and that in turn creates a winning experience for our clients, then we will keep on winning.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well said.